Aaron had always believed that life would eventually make sense. When he was younger, he imagined that if he worked hard, stayed polite, and tried to be good to others, the world would treat him kindly in return. His father used to say, "Life is like a road, son. It may bend, but if you keep walking, you will reach somewhere worth standing." Aaron held on to those words for many years. Yet now, as he walked along a dusty road in the American Southwest, his backpack heavy on his shoulders and his pockets almost empty, he felt like he had reached a place that was nowhere at all. The sun was strong that afternoon, spreading heat across the land like a heavy blanket. The desert stretched out far in every direction, dotted with dry bushes and tall red rocks that looked like old giants standing guard. Aaron had been traveling for weeks hoping to find work in different towns. He had done everything from fixing fences to helping in small diners, but each job lasted only a short while. Either the business closed or he was replaced by someone local, or sometimes life simply moved him onward without asking. Now he had only $1 left. One single dollar folded and worn from being taken out and put back so many times. It felt strange to hold it, knowing it was the last piece of money he had. People often say that money is not everything, but when a person has nothing left, even one small dollar feels precious. Aaron felt embarrassed, tired, and alone. He stopped to rest near a small town that sat beside an Apache reservation. The town was quiet, with just a few shops, a small cafe, and a trading post that sold handmade crafts. There were not many people walking around. It felt like the kind of place where everyone already knew each other, and a stranger like him stood out right away. Still, the shade from the trading post's porch roof was welcoming, and he sat down there to rest his legs and drink some water. As he sat there, he watched life move around him. A woman carrying 2 bags walked slowly across the street, taking her time. A dusty pickup truck rolled by, heading toward the highway. 2 older men sat near the cafe, speaking softly in a language he did not know. Everything seemed calm, steady, and patient. Aaron wished his mind felt the same way, but inside he was full of worry. He wondered where he would sleep that night. He wondered how he would eat. He wondered what his father would say to him now, seeing him in this situation. His father had passed away 2 years earlier. They had been close, not in a loud or emotional way, but in a quiet, understanding way. His father had taught him how to fix fences, how to repair boots, how to listen more than he spoke. After his father died, Aaron felt something missing in his life, like a steady voice had disappeared from inside his heart. He carried a small photograph of him in his backpack. Sometimes he took it out just to feel less alone. He was thinking of that photograph when he noticed a young Apache girl standing a few steps away. She had long dark hair tied in a neat braid, and her clothes were simple but clean. She looked no older than 10. She held a wooden board in her hands, and attached to the board were small woven bracelets of different colors. The bracelets were made from thin strips of leather and thread, with simple patterns, but they were beautiful in a quiet way. They looked like they had been made slowly and carefully. The girl was not walking from person to person calling out to sell her crafts. Instead, she simply stood near the trading post entrance, waiting patiently, as if she understood that the right person would approach when the time was right. Her calm presence felt different from the hurried energy of most people. Aaron noticed it right away. He tried not to make eye contact at first. He was embarrassed. He did not want her to come over because he knew he had almost no money. He did not want to say, "I cannot afford it." He did not want to look like someone who had failed. His heart felt heavy just thinking about it. But the girl saw him anyway, and slowly she walked toward him. Her steps were small and quiet. When she reached him, she did not speak right away. She simply looked at him, her eyes gentle but curious. It was not the kind of look a person gives when they judge someone. It was the kind of look that sees a person fully as they are. Aaron felt something shift in his chest. He forced a smile. "Hello," he said. The girl nodded in return, still silent at first. Then she lifted the wooden board slightly, showing the bracelets. $1, she said softly. Her voice was calm, steady, almost musical. She did not sound pushy. She simply offered what she had. Aaron looked down at his hands. That single dollar suddenly felt heavy again. He thought about saving it for food. He thought about saving it for bus fare. He thought about how foolish it might be to spend it. Yet something in that moment felt different. Something in the quiet way she stood there, offering something made with her own hands and with patience, made Aaron feel seen. He felt that she understood something he didn't say. He did not know how to explain it, but it touched him. He reached into his pocket very slowly. The dollar felt warm from the sun and from being held tight for so long. He handed it to her. She accepted it gently, as if receiving something important. She did not smile big or act surprised. She just nodded once, like she understood what that dollar meant to him. Then she said, "Wait here," and walked into the trading post. Aaron sat quietly, unsure of what would happen next. The sun continued to shine. The dusty road stayed still. His heart, however, felt strangely lighter. For the first time in many weeks, he did not feel invisible. Someone had looked at him as a person, not a burden. As he waited, he thought about how strange life was, how one small moment could feel so meaningful. He didn't know why the girl had told him to wait, but he trusted the moment. He had nothing else to hold on to except trust. People around him walked slowly, lived simply, and breathed peacefully. Aaron realized that maybe he had been rushing through life, trying to reach a destination without appreciating the road itself. The desert, the town, the quiet voices, the warmth of the sun, all of it felt like it was telling him to slow down, to breathe, to simply exist without fear for just a moment. He let himself breathe. The door to the trading post opened again, and the girl stepped out. She was holding something small and wrapped in soft cloth. She walked back to him with the same gentle steps. Aaron sat up straighter, unsure what she was carrying. She stopped right in front of him. Then, without saying a word, she placed the small wrapped object in his hands. When the girl placed the small wrapped bundle in Aaron's hands, he felt a quiet warmth move through him. The cloth was soft and smelled faintly of sage and sunlight. It was tied with a thin leather cord, simple and neat. He looked at the girl, unsure what to say or do. She did not seem rushed or nervous. She simply waited, as if she wanted him to open it when he was ready. Aaron took a gentle breath and loosened the cord. The cloth unfolded slowly, like something unfolding from time itself. Inside was a small rawhide pouch, light and smooth, with a simple hand-drawn pattern of 2 crossing lines and a circle in the middle. It was the kind of pattern that looked like it meant something old and meaningful, something passed down, not made to impress. He touched the pouch lightly with his fingers. Then he looked up again. "For you," the girl said quietly. Aaron felt his throat tighten. He didn't understand why she was giving him this. He had given her his last dollar for a small bracelet, but she had given him something that felt far more important. She must have noticed his confusion because she pointed to her chest and then to his. "For your spirit," she said. Her words were simple, but they felt large, like they reached deep inside him. Aaron didn't know how to answer. He felt something emotional rising in his chest, but he didn't want to make her uncomfortable. He nodded slowly. "Thank you," he said softly, meaning it more deeply than almost anything he had said in months. The girl smiled, but very gently, more with her eyes than her mouth. Then she sat down near him, placing her board of bracelets beside her. She didn't act like she had done something special. She simply sat with him quietly, as if silence between them was not something to fill but something to share. Aaron held the pouch in his hands. He wanted to ask many things: where it came from, why she chose to give it to him, what the markings meant, but the moment felt delicate. So he waited. Patience had been one of the few lessons his father taught him that stayed strong in him. The girl finally spoke. "My grandmother made it," she said. "She teaches me to listen. To people, to the wind, to things we cannot see but feel." Her voice was light but steady. She spoke slowly, not because she struggled with English, but because her words were chosen with care. Aaron nodded. "Your grandmother sounds wise." The girl looked up at the sky for a moment, as if thinking. "She says everyone has 2 journeys, one on the ground and one inside the heart. Sometimes the one inside gets lost. When that happens, the body feels tired, even if the road is not long." Her words felt as if they were describing him exactly. Aaron lowered his eyes. Maybe that is true. The girl studied him with quiet understanding. "Your heart is tired," she said simply, not as a question but as something she saw. Aaron felt tears threaten behind his eyes, but he blinked them away. He had walked across states, towns, and miles of dust trying not to feel that truth, yet this child had spoken it in one breath. "Yes," he whispered. The girl nodded, as though that honesty mattered more than any explanation. She pointed to the pouch in his hand. "It helps," she said, "not with everything, but with beginnings." Aaron didn't know exactly what she meant, but the words felt right. He opened the pouch carefully. Inside, he found 3 small items: a carved stone smooth and shaped like a teardrop, a tiny bundle of dried sage and wild herbs, and a single small feather, white at the base and soft brown at the tip. The objects were simple, but each felt like a piece of something meaningful. Not valuable in money, but valuable in feeling. The girl touched the stone with her fingertip. "This is for strength, to remember you are not weaker than your troubles." Then she touched the herbs. "This is for clarity, to help your thoughts rest instead of run in circles." Finally, she touched the feather. "This is for courage, to remind you that the wind still moves and you can move with it." Aaron listened quietly. He had never heard something explained in such a gentle way. Nothing about it felt forced. It felt honest. He wanted to thank her again, but before he could, the trading post door opened and an older woman stepped out. Her hair was long and silver, tied loosely behind her back. Her face had deep lines, not from harshness but from time and thought. Her clothing was simple, like the girl's, but she carried herself with a calm presence that made the air around her feel still. The girl stood up immediately, but not in fear. It was more like respect. The older woman walked toward them. Her eyes were kind, but they also saw deeply, the way the girl's eyes did. The girl spoke to her in their native language, her voice soft. The older woman listened, nodded once, and then turned her gaze to Aaron. He stood slowly, feeling like he should. The older woman's presence was not loud or demanding, but it felt important. "You gave your last dollar?" she asked, her voice steady and warm. Aaron hesitated, embarrassed. "Yes," he said. The older woman looked at him with a thoughtful expression. Not pity, not surprise, just awareness. "Some people give only when they have plenty," she said. "Others give when they have almost nothing. The second kind has a heart that is open." Aaron didn't know what to do with the words. Compliments were not something he was used to. He rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. The woman continued. "My granddaughter sees people clearly. She saw that something in you was waiting to be healed." Aaron glanced at the girl, who looked back with the same calm expression. He felt something soften in his chest again. "I am grateful," he said honestly. "I don't know why she chose to give this to me, but I won't forget it." The older woman smiled gently. "The world works in circles. What you gave will return. Maybe not today, maybe not in the way you expect, but it returns." The wind blew lightly then, warm and soft. It carried the scent of dust and sage across the road. For a moment, the world felt still and connected, as if everything was part of the same breath. The older woman touched the girl's shoulder. "Come," she said. The girl gathered her bracelets and board. Before she left, she looked back at Aaron. Her voice was soft but clear. "Take the pouch with you. Listen to your steps. Your path is not gone. It is only waiting." Aaron nodded, and for the first time in a long while he believed it. The two walked away together, moving slowly down the road toward the reservation. Their figures became smaller, then blended into the warm light of the late afternoon. Aaron sat again on the porch, holding the pouch gently in his hand. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. He didn't know where he would go next. But something inside him felt lighter. Not fixed, not complete, just less lost. He stayed there until the sky began to turn golden and the heat softened. The world looked different, though nothing had changed except something within him. He stood up, took a slow breath, and began walking again. This time, the road didn't feel empty. Aaron walked away from the town slowly, the small pouch resting safely inside his pocket. His steps were steady, but his thoughts were gentle, like a stream that had finally slowed after rushing for too long. The sun was beginning to lower in the sky, turning everything golden. The desert looked softer now. The sharp heat of the day was fading into a warm and peaceful glow. Even the shadows seemed kind. For the first time in many days, Aaron did not feel afraid of the night to come. He didn't know where he would sleep, but he felt that things would work out somehow. Not because he had a plan, but because something inside him felt held, supported, guided. He could not explain it, but he accepted it. As he walked, he passed wide-open fields, gentle hills, and fences that stretched far into the distance. He could hear the quiet songs of insects beginning to rise with the evening. The smell of sagebrush drifted through the air. Everything felt peaceful. The world no longer felt like it was pushing him away. Instead, it felt like it was making space for him to move forward. He thought about the girl and her grandmother. He thought about how gently they had spoken, They had not tried to fix him, question him, or judge him. They simply saw him as a tired human being on a long journey, and somehow being seen had changed something inside him. He realized he had been carrying loneliness like a stone in his chest. Now that stone felt a little lighter. The road eventually led him toward a small ranch. He noticed a wooden fence, a few horses in a field, and a barn with a roof that looked old but strong. He had passed ranches before, but this time something made him stop. Maybe it was the memory of his father teaching him how to care for horses when he was young. Maybe it was the way the place looked cared for, not rich or fancy, but lived in with love. Or maybe it was simply time. He stood at the fence for a moment, watching the horses move slowly through the tall grass. One of them, a brown mare with a white mark on her forehead, lifted her head and looked at him. Her eyes were calm and curious, much like the girl's eyes had been. Aaron smiled softly, feeling an unexpected sense of familiarity. "Beautiful, isn't she?" A voice called from behind him. Aaron turned and saw a man walking toward him. He appeared to be in his late 50s, with a kind face, sun-browned skin, and clothes that showed years of ranch work. His hat sat low on his forehead, and there was a gentle ease in the way he moved. "Yes," Aaron replied. "She is." The man nodded and leaned against the fence beside him. "Name's Sullivan," he said in a warm tone. "Most folks just call me Sully." Aaron nodded. "I'm Aaron." The man studied him for a moment, not in a judging way, but in a thoughtful way, like someone who understands how to read the weather and people with the same quiet attention. "You traveling through?" Sully asked. Aaron hesitated, unsure how to explain his situation. "I guess so," he said. "I've been looking for work." "Not much luck recently." Sully nodded slowly. "Hard times don't ask permission before showing up," he said. His voice wasn't dramatic, just honest. "You got experience with ranch work?" Aaron thought about the days with his father, fixing fences, feeding animals, learning patience through repetition. "Some," he said. "Not everything. But I learn fast and I work hard." Sully looked at him again. Then he sighed softly, as though making a decision he had been thinking about before Aaron even arrived. "I could use an extra pair of hands. The ranch is a lot for one man these days. If you're willing to work, I can offer a small cabin to stay in and meals. Pay isn't much, but it's fair." Aaron felt something warm bloom in his chest. He had not expected an offer so quickly. It felt like the world was nudging him forward gently, as if saying, "Yes, this is your next step." "I would be grateful," Aaron said sincerely. Sully nodded once, as if that settled things. "Good, come with me. I'll show you the place." Together they walked toward the ranch house. The porch was tidy, with 2 chairs that looked well used but comfortable. The house was painted a soft faded blue, weathered by sun and wind but strong. Nearby was a small cabin, simple but solid. It had one window, a door that looked sturdy, and a small stone path leading to it. "This would be yours," Sully said. "Nothing fancy, but it's quiet, peaceful, and the roof doesn't leak." Aaron stepped inside. The cabin smelled like wood and earth and time. There was a small bed, a table, and a chair. Sunlight came through the window, touching the floor gently. It was simple, but it felt safe. It felt like a beginning. He placed his backpack on the bed and sat down for a moment. His hands were still resting on the small pouch in his pocket. He thought again about the girl's words. "This is for beginnings." She had said it so simply, like stating a truth about the sky or the wind. And now here he was. That evening, Sully invited him to eat dinner on the porch. The meal was simple: beans, bread, roasted vegetables, and cool water. Yet it tasted better than anything Aaron had eaten in weeks, not because of the food itself, but because he was not eating alone. There was quiet conversation, gentle laughter, simple presence. After dinner, Aaron helped wash the dishes. He did not feel like a guest. He felt like someone who belonged there, even if only for a while. That night he returned to the cabin. The sky outside was deep and full of stars. The desert at night was quiet, but not empty. There were sounds of small animals, rustling leaves, and the whisper of wind moving across open land. The air felt cool and soft. Aaron sat on the bed and took out the pouch once more. He held the carved stone in his hand. It was warm now from being in his pocket all day. He closed his eyes. He remembered his father's voice. He remembered the girl's steady gaze. He remembered Sully offering work with no need for long explanations. He remembered how lost he had felt just that morning. Now he felt found, not completely, not perfectly, but enough. He placed the stone back in the pouch and tied it closed with care. He set it beside him on the small table, as if setting something sacred in its proper place. He lay back on the bed, the thin blanket covering him. The bed was simple, but it felt soft. His body was tired, but in a good way, not a hopeless way. His breathing slowed. Before he drifted to sleep, he whispered quietly into the darkness, "Thank you." Not to anyone in particular, but to the moment itself, to life, to the quiet grace that had emerged when he least expected it. Outside, the wind moved gently across the land as if answering back, soft and steady. Aaron slept peacefully that night for the first time in a long time. He did not know yet how deeply the ranch would change him. He did not know what new lessons were waiting. He only knew that something had shifted, like a door had opened inside him. A beginning had arrived. Time passed at the ranch in a steady, peaceful rhythm. Days were shaped by simple tasks: feeding the horses, checking the fences, sweeping the barn floor, and helping with whatever else needed doing. The work was physical, but not rushed. There was a calmness to ranch life, as if everything understood its own time. The sun rose slowly, the horses moved gently, and the wind carried soft music across the fields. For the first few mornings, Aaron woke just before sunrise. The sky would still be cool and pale, and the land would feel quiet, like it was still waking. He would sit on the small step outside his cabin and watch the sky shift colors: blue, gold, pink, amber. It was a simple thing, but it filled him with peace. He had never taken time before to watch the world wake up. Now it felt like a gift each day. The pouch the girl had given him sat on the small table beside his bed. He did not open it often, but he kept it close. Sometimes when his thoughts felt heavy or confusing, he held the smooth carved stone between his fingers and simply breathed. It reminded him that his heart was still finding its way, and that it was all right to be patient. Sully proved to be a good teacher. He didn't speak more than needed, but when he did talk, his words carried meaning. He showed Aaron how to guide the horses gently, how to mend the fence so it would last longer, how to trim branches so they grew stronger, not wilder. There was a kindness in the way he worked, never rushing, never forcing, always understanding that things grow by seasons, not by pressure. One afternoon, as they repaired a gate, Sully said, "You're doing good work here." Aaron nodded quietly. Compliments still felt unfamiliar, but they warmed him. "You've seen some hard times," Sully continued, not as a question, but a recognition. Aaron paused. He could have explained everything. The jobs that never lasted, the loneliness, the days that felt empty, the nights when sleep did not come. But he didn't have to. Something about Sully's tone showed he already understood. "Yes," Aaron said softly. "I lost my way for a while." Sully nodded. "Most people do at some point. The important thing is that you kept walking." They worked in silence again, but this time, the silence felt like a shared strength, not emptiness. Weeks turned into months. The ranch became a home in ways Aaron had not expected. He learned to read the horses' moods by their eyes and their breathing. He learned the sound of rain on the barn roof, the smell of fresh hay, the way the air felt just before evening. He learned to sleep without fear of tomorrow. Yet something inside him gently reminded him of the little girl and her grandmother. Their presence, though brief, had shaped everything that came after. The memory of their calmness still guided him. It was like a quiet light inside him. One late summer morning, Aaron and Sully drove into town to pick up supplies. The same small trading post was still there. The same dusty road. The same warm desert air. But something felt different, though Aaron could not explain why at first. He stepped inside the trading post while Sully loaded feed bags outside. The cool shade indoors felt refreshing after the sun. He looked around at shelves filled with handmade crafts, jars of herbs, woven blankets, and pottery. Everything felt familiar. His heart felt full as he remembered the young girl standing outside on that first day. He walked to the counter where the shopkeeper, a middle-aged man with gentle eyes, was sorting items. The shopkeeper recognized him immediately. "You're the traveler who gave your last dollar," the man said with a warm smile. "I remember you." Aaron smiled softly. "I didn't know anyone noticed." The man nodded. People notice kindness. Aaron looked around, expecting to see the girl somewhere nearby. His eyes lingered on the corner near the door, where she had once stood with her bracelets. But she was not there. The shopkeeper's face grew softer. as though he already understood the question in Aaron's heart. "You are looking for the young girl," he said gently. Aaron nodded. "Yes, I wanted to thank her. To thank both of them." The man set his hands down slowly with care. "They passed on some weeks ago," he said, his voice warm, not harsh. "Both grandmother and granddaughter." It was peaceful, quiet, like stepping from one room into another. Aaron's chest tightened, but the sadness that came was gentle, like a slow wave, not a storm. He did not feel shock or fear. He felt something softer, like understanding. "She gave gifts to those she saw were hurting," the shopkeeper continued. "Not everyone understood her, but she saw clearly. Her grandmother taught her that hearts speak before mouths do." Aaron swallowed. His eyes softened. "She changed my life," the man nodded. "She changed many lives. Sometimes small souls carry great light." Aaron felt tears fill his eyes, but these tears were not painful. They were full of gratitude, memory, and love. He did not try to hide them. He let them fall quietly, like the desert rain that comes suddenly and gently. The shopkeeper stepped around the counter and placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. It was a simple gesture, but it held kindness. "She would be glad to know you are well," he said. Aaron nodded, his voice soft. "She is with me." "Every day," the shopkeeper smiled. Then her gift was not lost. Aaron stepped outside, the sunlight warm on his face. Sully looked at him, noticed his expression, and did not ask questions. He simply nodded, understanding that something meaningful had happened. On the drive back, the land looked different. The desert, the sky, the distant hills. They all felt connected to the memory of the girl and her grandmother. Each breeze felt like a whisper. Each cloud felt like a blessing. When they returned to the ranch, Aaron walked to the cabin. He sat on the bed and took out the pouch. He opened it slowly. The stone, the herbs, the feather, they looked the same, but their meaning felt deeper. He placed the stone in his hand and closed his eyes. He did not speak words. He did not need to. His heart spoke quietly with gratitude, love, and peace. "Thank you." The wind outside carried that feeling across the land. Gentle and steady, Aaron breathed in, calm, present, alive. The girl had given him a beginning. Now he understood what to do with it. Seasons passed slowly at the ranch, each one leaving its marks in gentle ways. Spring brought soft green growth to the fields. Summer carried warm evenings and golden light. Autumn brushed the land with quiet winds, and winter wrapped everything in silence. Through all of it, Aaron lived a life that felt steady and real. He worked with his hands, rose with the sun, and slept with a peaceful heart. The little pouch remained on the table beside his bed, always close. He did not hold it every day, but he always knew it was there. Sometimes he would hold the feather and look out over the open land, remembering the girl's calm face and the grandmother's wise eyes. Sometimes he would press the smooth stone gently in his hand when his thoughts grew heavy. The pouch had become a symbol of something deeper than luck. It was a reminder of kindness, of new beginnings, of the quiet ways life guides us when we listen. Over time, Aaron and Sully grew close, like family formed not by blood but by trust and shared work. They ate meals together on the porch, spoke softly about life, and sometimes sat in silence when words were not needed. There was a peace in their companionship. Two lives that had known loneliness had found a home in each other's presence. One cool morning in late autumn, they stood together near the fence while the horses grazed. The sky above was soft and pale like watercolor. Aaron leaned on the fence, watching the land stretch far and wide. "You've changed," Sully said gently, his voice thoughtful. Aaron looked at him, curious. "How do you mean?" Sully shrugged lightly. "When you first came here, you moved like a man who was running from something inside him. Now you move like someone who knows where his feet are standing." Aaron thought about that. He remembered the heaviness he once carried, the way his mind rushed in circles, the way the world had felt too big and too empty at the same time. Now the world felt full. Not crowded, not overwhelming, just full, alive, connected. "I guess I stopped trying to escape my own heart," he said quietly. Sully smiled. "That's the hardest thing most people ever learn." The day continued with its usual work. Yet the conversation stayed with Aaron. He thought of how far he had come from that day sitting outside the trading post, with $1 in his pocket and a tired spirit. He remembered how the girl had looked at him not with pity but with understanding, as if she saw something inside him that he had forgotten was there. Weeks later, The ranch had small gatherings for the autumn market, a yearly event where nearby families brought handmade goods, food, music, and quiet celebration. It was simple but warm. People greeted each other with smiles, shared stories, and sat around small fires when the evening grew cool. Aaron walked among the stalls, holding a warm drink in his hands. He saw woven blankets, pottery, carved wood, jars of honey, and handmade jewelry. Everything reminded him gently of the trading post. He paused at a small stall displaying woven leather bracelets, the same kind the girl used to make. His breath caught softly. An older man stood behind the stall, arranging the bracelets with great care. His hands moved slowly, respectfully, as though each bracelet carried memories. Aaron stepped closer. "These are beautiful," he said. The man nodded. "They are made in the old style. A young girl used to make them here in town. Her work was special. After she passed, some of us decided to continue her patterns. She brought kindness to many, even strangers. We thought her spirit should continue." Aaron felt something warm move through him like sunlight inside his chest. The man continued. "People think change comes from big things, but sometimes a single small act of kindness becomes a seed that grows in many hearts." Aaron smiled softly. He picked up one bracelet, made with brown leather and thin threads of soft, warm colors woven through. The pattern was simple, but the feeling it carried was deep. He wore it gently on his wrist. "I knew her," he said. "She gave me something that helped me find my way again." The man's eyes grew soft. "Then her gift lives on in you." Aaron nodded, his voice quiet but full. "Yes, it does." As evening came, the sky faded into a deep, gentle blue. Lanterns and small fires glowed softly around the gathering. People spoke quietly, laughed softly, shared warm meals. Music played lightly from a guitar, slow and tender. Aaron stood a little apart from the crowd, watching the sky. Stars began to appear one by one. The air was cool and fresh. He breathed deeply, feeling calm inside. He reached into his pocket and took out the pouch, holding it gently. The feather brushed his fingers like a whisper. The stone was warm from his touch. The herbs scented the air with a peaceful earthiness. He closed his eyes. He remembered the girl's words, spoken softly, clearly. "Your path is not gone. It is only waiting." He understood now. The path had not been something he had to find outside himself. It had been inside him all along. He had only needed to see it again, with steady eyes and a quiet heart. He opened his eyes to the stars above. He felt grateful, not just for the ranch or the work or the peace he had found, but for the moment a little girl with gentle eyes had seen him when he could not see himself. Life had circled back, just as the grandmother had said it would. Aaron began to help young people who came through the area looking for work and direction. Some stayed only a week, some stayed longer. Some came back years later to visit. He never asked for their stories unless they wanted to share. He simply made space for them, the way someone once made space for him. One day, many years later, when his hair had grown dusted with silver and his hands bore lines shaped by time, a young traveler came to the ranch. The traveler looked tired, worn, unsure, just as Aaron once had. Aaron welcomed him, gave him water, listened quietly, and offered a place to stay. That night, when the stars filled the sky, Aaron went to his small cabin. He opened the pouch that had stayed with him through all those years. The feather was still soft. The stone was still smooth and warm. The herbs, though dried long ago, still carried the faintest scent of earth and sun. He sat quietly for a long time. Then, with great care, he placed the pouch into a small wooden box and closed the lid. The gift had done its work. It had guided him, healed him, and opened his heart. Now it was time for him to guide others with what he had learned, not by giving the same objects, but by offering the same kindness, the same patience, the same gentle seeing. Kindness had come full circle. He smiled softly, the same gentle smile the girl once gave him. The road of life had not ended. It had simply become clear, steady, and peaceful. Aaron stepped outside his cabin, looked up at the endless sky, and whispered softly, "I remember, and I will continue." The wind carried the words into the open night, gentle and sure, and somewhere, in the quiet of the desert, the memory of the Apache girl moved like a soft light that never faded.